Oh, Derby fans are saying you can't call us a League One team and then call out young players. It's now time for a change. We've had enough. Welcome back to Where Rams Walk. We're also talking about set pieces this week. And as it's Christmas, who are the best fans that have visited Pride Park this season? We're giving some goodwill out. We're delighted to be joined not by one, not by two, but by 5 Derby County fans this week to review just what on earth Paul Warne is talking about. We've got John and Peyton back as normal, and of course we're delighted to be joined by some gods of Derby County Twitter in Ashton, Theo and Dylan. Do give them a follow if you don't already. Let's jump straight into it then, shall we? John, we're here again. Paul Warne just keeps saying the wrong things, but it now seems to have not even just divided the Derby County fans. It now seems to have set them, most of them, against him. A tweet here from Gail says his negativity is brushing off on the players, telling them they're a League One team. There's no wonder they're not giving their all every single week. His football is negative. The players look scared to play every single week. It's awful football. It's time to go. John, do you agree?
Well, the way we set up yesterday, the first half, it felt like an FA Cup game with a League One side, the Championship side. If it was a cup game, the way the tactics were we ever going to win that game? No. Now the concern is if he's coming out and saying that out in public, that is a concern, because you should never say. You should keep that in the dressing room. You should. Maybe he felt on the day playing with a League One mentality for whatever reason. They were because at times we look like a 4-6, don't we? At times. The concern I've got though is the little details. We said before the game, the management come out and said they were worried about the height of our squad. Well, when the first goal was conceded, there's no one on the post. If you've got no height, you don't go zonal. You have someone on the back post, someone killing the space, not on the front post, and you have a spare man attacking, which would be Curtis Davis, in my opinion, not Curtis Nelson. So that concerns me a little bit. How we've got a short, we had was short in the team, and we had that post. Just a little detail starting to creep in, like last week with Barry Bannon not getting picked up, and then this little detail. Did I expect them to get out from Leeds yesterday? No. The comments are now they're concerning the comments, because you shouldn't come out and say that in public.
Okay. Ashton, let's get your take on it. Thanks, John. Dan says, what a shocking day for Derby fans. Our own manager basically coming out and calling us a League One club and saying we can't compete with Leeds like they are Real Madrid. Then we obviously watch our arch rivals smash United and sit comfortably at the top half of the EPL. Do you get the fans' reaction here, Ashton, as to why there's so much anger of what Warne says, or do we want you to calm down a bit?
Yeah, with that tweet you just pulled up then, we know Leeds, are a good side. They've spent, a lot of money, especially, when they've got a player of that calibre on the bench. I don't genuinely think yesterday there was any reason, really, why we couldn't give them more of a game. I don't think they were absolute world beaters, really. I thought, we dealt with it pretty well defensively in the first half. But basically being told the game plan is to just basically to invite the pressure on all game, the inevitable happened. And then back to the comments, not to sort of slating Rotherham here, but we're not Rotherham, we're Derby County. And for that comment, that to me just basically just summed up, what he thought, which, it's not on. It's going to divide the fans. It's going to divide the players, the dressing room, and that's the worrying thing now.
Yeah. Are you worn in still, Ashton? Are you still in that camp of giving more time?
Personally, I feel like the players we have got, I feel like if we did set up right, I feel, under a different manager, I feel like we could be getting a lot more out of the players than what we are doing. Just the Caden Jackson obsession's just crazy. The fact that Corey Blackett-Taylor just doesn't seem to warrant any form of game time is beyond me. Also, not playing Kenzo Goldmine in the right position. That just fails, ceases to amaze me. I feel like if we had a manager that, can get the best out of the players we've got, playing them in the right positions and playing the right style of football, maybe, so in that respect, I do feel that, as a League One manager, he's done a job that's been proven, but I do feel like it would benefit us really, because we're going to sink under him.
All right. Cheers for that, Ashton. Some great points there. Theo, he also said about the young players that when for one of the Leeds goals, he was calling them out, saying they're not doing enough. They've been not doing enough. That's a step too far, isn't it?
Yeah, surprising because at the end of the day, the first goal was from a set piece, right? And I don't think it's him, is it? It will be his assistant who sets up the set pieces. But at the end of the day, it's down to him how he sets them up. I mean, I think a lot of his interviews, I think if he actually reviewed them maybe a couple of days after he said them, I think he probably regrets some of the things he says, because he's honest. I like a bit of honest, but he's too honest with what he says. And, going back to the comments you made earlier, he made about he made them about basically saying calling us a League One team. Again, too much honesty there. I don't think he actually sometimes thinks before he says it. So he's almost just like, yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I didn't really listen to the interview on the way back, so I didn't actually know he said that. But yeah, that does surprise me, and that does worry me a little bit. That does worry me.
Okay. Cheers for that, Theo. Peyton, Paul says in relation to the game, there was no plan when it came to attack. It's like management hadn't bothered to research Leeds, identifying opportunities to exploit. Even the top sides have their own weaknesses, and as a result, we just do the same old, defend for 90 minutes and see how that goes. It's not good enough. Did you get the same impression watching that game yesterday?
A little bit. I mean, I think Warne had an idea, and it was to have 5 or 6 at the back and then rely on Eric Ashen to just absolutely smack it long, and hopefully Caden Jackson uses all the pace in the world that he's got to beat the last defender and maybe put it across the Yates or put it in himself. But that's not going to work. Jackson could be the fastest person on the planet by a country mile, and it still wouldn't work. You can't just hope that Cashin's going to play the best long ball the Championship's ever seen every single time he gets it to put a player through on goal to then get a goal against Leeds, who are probably on paper the best side in the league. They brought Verber on defence. He was playing in the Bundesliga last season for Gladbach, or a comfortable mid-table side. Nonto, who's been linked with Manchester United. You can't be doing that. You've got to be maybe pressing a bit heavier. Bring Thompson Osborne forward. Take a risk. If we're going to concede against Leeds, which we did, you've got to try and score. And I mean, the comments, Warne should know, and I think a lot of the fans know, Klaus won't sack him until everyone turns against him. The fans are starting, but it was clear that the players really hadn't. And after you say that, you turn against the players as well. The players are going to start not wanting to play for you. They're going to be having conversations with their agents, with Klaus, saying, I don't really want to be here anymore if they're going to be like this. And at that point, the manager goes. So I feel like he's set the cogs in motion for his departure.
Okay. Dylan, thanks, Peyton. It's to that point I want to bring you in. Rami says, we are going down with Paul Warne as manager. He's out of his depth in the Championship. Please, David Clowes, save Derby County and sack Paul Warne. Harry says, I think he's taken us as far as he can, to be fair. So, simple question, Dylan. Should they sack him? And if so, when?
I think you have to give him until Portsmouth. And if he doesn't come out with the full intent of winning, I think you have to say, you've done enough, you have to go. The fans are turning on him. You can see it all over social media. And you can hear it after the game. I think the players came over to the away fans and they were clapping as soon as Warne came over. They started booing him, and you could see the defeat in him. He put his head down, put his hands his pocket and just walked off. And I think Burnley is a game where we may be able to scrap a result, but Portsmouth is realistically a 6-point game. And if he doesn't come out with a full intent of winning that game, I think you have to say he has to go.
Okay. Would you agree with that, John? Win it. Have to beat Portsmouth to save his job.
I think the problem is you can always, as long as you've got the backing of a chairman and the back players, you can sort things out. But the concern, the worst thing you do is if you lose the dressing room, that's it. It never comes back. I'm hoping those comments haven't. So I totally agree with what's been said. For themselves. So Burnley, daft it sounds, probably it's probably better prepared to get a point than they are against Leeds. That would be a point gained. The Portsmouth game, losing is not an option. We have to deliver. And we'll see what the performance is like after that. Portsmouth will be a tough game because they're a different game with Bobby Bishop now. They're a different side with him. Friday night, we have to get a result.
All right. We'll be watching it live on Sky this Friday. Should be a good one. Derby against Pompey side, who have just beaten Bristol City, of course, as well. So you're probably just not playing them at the right time, just as they're starting to find their feet, sadly. Just to finish with this week, we're talking about set pieces as well, because the whole football world's gone crazy on analysing set pieces. Now, of course, Ashton, the set piece champions of the championship are...
Oh, of course, Derby County.
Yeah, of course, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There
you are. So you do sit at the top of the league for something. 11 set pieces, 1 penalty, of course. Okay, so Theo, why are you the kings of set pieces in the championship? Why are you so good at them when other teams, especially if you look at them, I mean, Leeds are 12th there, for goodness sake. Why are you so good?
Well, I think at times we've got players who can put a really good ball into the box. And I mean, sometimes we are inconsistent with it, but when I think corner takers, most likely normally when they play at Mendes, Lang and Osborne, they can swing some great balls in. And we've got players like Nelson's header, was it against QPR, wasn't it? Players like that. And especially some of our set piece goals aren't just direct from the corner. We're good at when it bounces down or getting rebounds. But as well, I mean, we've got to be good at something because we're not actually good from open play. I think we're bottom, aren't we, from open play? So
yeah, that's right.
It's a miracle we are seemingly quite good at them, because if we weren't, well, we'd be much further down the table. I mean, I couldn't really put my finger on it, what it is, to be fair. We just seem... They must have worked on it a lot, to be fair, because I think Paul Warne last season kind of said the same thing, that we need to work on set pieces, and thank God we have, because if we wouldn't, we'd been a lot worse of a position.
Okay. All right, thanks for that one. Just as a general point, I mean, John, I'll just quickly come to you because you're the oldest one here, along with me. Has football gone a little bit daft with this set piece analysis and set piece coaches?
Everyone's gone set piece, mad, haven't they? But if you've got to nowadays in football, every coach has got to be unturned, hasn't it? So fitness coaches, nutritional coaches, chefs, even some clubs have got vicars. So now look at everything because it's so much money in football. Yeah. One thing I will say though is, in Paul Warne's defence, in the summer, he did say he's concerned about the Derby fans' expectation. I'm right in saying our budget's bottom 8. It's sitting bottom 9th bottom. So at the moment, he's all right. If you look at it that way.
Fair point. All right, thank you very much for that one. A couple more things before we let you go then. Peyton, last week we were talking about FA Cup and who you might want. I can't remember you saying Leyton Orient away as your choice, but are you happy with that?
Oh, it's just the magic of the FA Cup, isn't it? A game against a League One side that we beat 3-0 home and away last season, that we're going to go to and probably lose. And if we win, then we have to play another game with fixture congestion, and whichever manager is in charge at the point is going to complain about. It's just a pointless fixture, really, for us, that if we lose, we'll complain about, and if we win, we'll complain about. So, yeah.
Well said. Finally, Dylan, we're looking, of course, at who are the best fans in the Championship in terms of who visited this season. So, in the away end, when you've been there, which fans have stood out for you?
I think possibly like Sheffield Wednesday or Norwich. I think whenever Norwich, I think, had the ball, they were always like singing a tune or something. Sheffield Wednesday, I think, were loud at times during our game on that Sunday night. Sorry, and yeah, that's probably it. Sheffield Wednesday or Norwich for me.
Okay, Ashton.
Yeah, again, Sheffield Wednesday, that always adds a little bit of a bite, bit of a, local derby, really, bit of history. Also probably Middlesbrough. I thought but we seemed to kind of shut them up a little bit, especially with the win. But I don't know, it's one of them that this season, last season going, it was some of the atmosphere in League One. You thought that was one of the main sort of reasons. I mean, I love to go to the game for the atmosphere. I kind of couldn't wait, thought we need, if we get up next season, get a bit more, atmosphere in Pride Park. I just think with the performances as well, it's just, we're just kind of, deflated, which kind of doesn't add to the bite too much. But yeah, I'd probably say Sheffield Wednesday or Middlesbrough.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Good luck in your games then. This week. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. It's 20 minutes of Derby chat every single week. Quick predictions for the games this week. Theo, give us a prediction for the Burnley game.
Oh, well, I'd love to predict a win because I'm going, but I mean, I've got to be optimistic. I'm always optimistic. So it's going to sound very boring, but I'd honestly take a 0-0 draw at this point. Very boring, but I'd just love to get a point on the board.
All right. Peyton, John, give us a Portsmouth prediction.
2-1 to us. I'm gonna say 2-1 to us.
Okay, John.
Losing is not an option Friday night, so it's going to be a good game. Both teams will be at it. Oh God, I'm going to 2-1 like Peyton. Stay optimistic.
Okay, Dylan.
I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay. All right. Get money on 2-1 then. Thank you, you lot. Really appreciate that. We'll catch all of you hopefully again extremely soon. And like I said, do drop a subscribe if you haven't yet done so. This is where Rams walk. Thanks for watching.